So, and now I kind of want to bring it to a bigger point here. We got a few minutes left here on the Joe Show. And I want to send a message to all the young athletes out there that might be watching, that might be watching me as well as watching the Olympics. Because this is a crucial time for all the sports, obviously. But I want to draw attention to how inspiring it all is for young athletes. And my mind goes back to the clip of Katie Ledecky waving to the little girl in the stands and her like basically passing out. Like she saw like one of the Jonas Brothers back in the day. Like in such joy, in such awe that Katie Ledecky even looked at her. You know, the Olympics is so inspiring for everybody. No matter for what you're doing. If you're not doing track and field, you could still be inspired by every athlete dedicating their lives to this monumental accomplishment. It's inspiring for everybody. So I want to send a message to all of you listening at home, if whether you're in middle school or high school or you're getting into, a new sport. It doesn't matter what level or what age. But make sure that your attention to the sport doesn't go just as the Olympics goes. If you're in middle school starting with track and field, if you're in middle school starting swimming or in high school, get involved in your sport outside of practices and competitions. Because there are so many athletes, and with social media now and the coverage that they're all getting, make sure that you stay tuned in. It's so much more powerful to be able to connect with and to understand and to follow the sport that you're participating in. Because when I was a swimmer in high school, I didn't, I remember watching the Rio 2016 Olympics. That was me going into my freshman year, starting my first year in swimming as a high school freshman. I was 14 years old. And I remember watching the Olympics and being like, wow, that looks really hard. But it also kind of like primed my brain to really like take it seriously, to be like, no, I'm not going to make it to that Olympic level, but what I'm doing represents that. I am doing the same thing as these like high level Olympic athletes. I'm doing the same thing. So what better resource and what better inspiration than to those who are the best at it? So I encourage all of you, if you're getting into a sport, keep up with the professional side of it. Keep up with NCAAs. Keep up with who has the fastest times. Keep up with the technique that they use and try to incorporate it in yourselves. Be a fan of the sport that you are in. Because whether you think it or not, everything that you do in life in general, everything you do, you are a representative of it. So if you're a high school swimmer and, many people, you might be the only swimmer in their lives. You got to represent it well. And you got to be able to give it your all, to give the sport its fair shot, because the sport deserves all of your effort. The sport deserves everything that you have. So give it everything you have. Take mental notes as you're watching clips of the Olympics. Oh, I noticed that they took this many kicks off the dolphin wall, or dolphin kicks off the wall. I noticed that their breaststroke is a little bit longer of a stroke as opposed to a very rapid one. I noticed that, in this start they do this in warm-ups. Take notes of the professionals. Take notes of the best. Incorporate it in yourself, or at least keep your mind moving with it. It'll keep you a lot more engaged in your sport, and it will keep you much more motivated than just simply somebody, your coach or your teammates yelling at you to do it. Get invested with it in yourself. Listen to podcasts, watch the clips, take notes. Go all in on your sport because the sport deserves it. And whether you're done with it after 4 years of high school, that's fine. But you gave it everything. So I want to make sure that message goes out to all the young swimmers, all the young track athletes, all the young anybody, rugby, anything. The Olympics are a time for you to pay attention and to stay paid attention to your sport and what advancements it's taking. So that's a long-winded way to say keep up with your sport outside the Olympics. It happens outside the Olympics. Keep up with it. So those will be my closing remarks for the Olympics here as we get into, I believe it's the final week of Olympic competition. So the next week of the JOMO show, we'll talk about more of like in totality, will the U.S. be the top gold medalist, or will China beat them out? Or will somebody sneak up in the gold medal race, whether it's the hosting France will be able to do it? We'll talk all about that stuff in totality next week on the JOMO show, as well as getting primed for the Golden Grizzlies getting back into action in fall 2024.